Shall I sing?
You can if you want to.
Nope.
Why? Well, that is normally Scruffy's job.
That is Scruffy's thing. I thought I'd, pick up the slack for him.
Right. And we just lost half the audience because I promised Scruffy tonight and not going to make it. So
he may make a surprise appearance. You never know.
We'll never know. But anyway, let's get rolling.
Spectre 2 reporting in. This is Vanessa Marshall, and I play Hera Syndulla on Star Wars Rebels. You're listening to the Hyperspace Heroes podcast. That's no moon. Take it from Brown Mullet 34.
And now, on with the show.
Time for bladder check. Check.
Check.
Check. Wait. Screw it. I'm holding it.
Brown Squadron.
Podcasting, the final audio frontier. These are the legends of Brown Squadron.
Our computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
The ongoing mission? To explore the Star Wars universe and other nerd culture topics. To seek new content and new cantinas, bars, and lounges. To boldly annoy Scruffy by making too many bad jokes. Welcome to the Hyperspace Heroes podcast.
And welcome to Hyperspace Heroes episode 181 or 206 on the Spotchka scale. This is Brown Leader signing in. All wings report in.
Brown 4 reporting in.
Brown 54 reporting in.
Right on.
Brown 85 reporting in.
Right on. Welcome, guys. So Delphi has joined us again this week. And this week we have the return of Brown 54, Mr. Author, filmmaker, artist. Bryan Young is back with us, and it's been a while since we last talked to Bryan, and he has dropped several books, done Star Wars Topps cards. He's well over 600 episodes on Full of Sith now, and it's just just all around busy guy in multi IPs, multi universes. And so welcome back to the show, Bryan.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be back. Thanks for having me.
Right on, right on. And I know on social, everybody, I promised Scruffy would be on tonight, but unfortunately he has gotten shuttled off to the somewhere tonight. Unfortunately, he got stuck at work. So, and then I wanted to, before we get going too far into the show, I want to give a shout out to What Does Star Wars Mean to You? We're going to be recording. We meant to record this past weekend. I'm going to be participating in a live debate, or not a live, but a debate with them, they are hosting a debate between myself and Ro from Scare of Scuttlebutt, and we're going to be arguing whether Lucasfilm should move on from the Skywalker saga or not. And so as soon as we get that recorded, unfortunately, Ro himself got stuck this past Sunday filming. As anyone is aware, in Chicago had a busy weekend with weather and other things last weekend. And so I think as a cameraman, he was pretty busy and could not quite make it, but we'll get that debate going as soon as possible. But yeah, so welcome back, Bryan. We're going to talk about, you've dropped 3 BattleTech books since we last talked, but as a warm-up piece, I thought that I would tap into something that you posted on social today and start off with a Star Trek segment of the show. And so
I've been looking forward to this all day.
Right now, I went actually to the site. I took away what you had marked, Bryan, so that it wouldn't give anything away. But I thought we could go round table really quick and talk about Trek for once, we don't talk about it often enough. And so this was just a little quiz that I think, Bryan, you had found online, and it talks about different genres of Star Wars or Star Trek, and we'll just kind of go roundtable really quick and pick from each category what what we like. So category number 1 was the older TV series, and you've got Trek, the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. And so, Bryan, since this is your quiz, we will start with you.
It makes me certainly feel my age to think that those are all listed as the older TV series.
Right?
But the one I got to pick is Deep Space Nine. That was on through the whole time I was in high school, and it became appointment television viewing for my friends and I every week, especially as they wrapped up the Dominion War. I also think it's the most politically complicated and Star Wars like of the series, so it sort of pushed all those buttons. And how could you not love Vic Fontaine?
All right. Right on. Delphi.
I think I'm gonna have to go with the original. It's got Uhura. I mean, come on, that's like the original Claudia Grant.
All right. DB.
I'm going to go with my high school pick as well, which would be Next Gen. That tells you I'm a little bit older. With the exception of the one episode Code of Honor, which is just horrifically racist. Next Gen was my high school years. But shout out to my father for getting me into the original series 10 years before that. So that would be my second pick.
Right on. All right. And for myself, I do have a lot of really good memories of watching Next Gen with my mom. And so we had good bonding times over that. And, but I think, honestly, for that one, I'm going to go with Voyager just to go with the outlier there. I enjoyed that it was just something a little bit different, right? And back to kind of space exploration like the original trilogy, but in a different contrast. And overall, I guess I'd have to give it a 7 of 9. So
it's amazing. Voyager bounced off of me when it started coming on because I felt like I was so invested in the whole Maquis revolution and everything going on there, and they set that up on Voyager, and then they just ignored it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, maybe the show's not for me. And I haven't revisited it since, and my sister keeps telling me I have to, and so it's on my list to go back to.
Yeah, and I didn't finish it when it first aired. And yeah, that was definitely they definitely glossed right over that, didn't they? And but I did a rewatch probably just a few years ago, and actually finished the whole series, and I really liked it. And there was definitely and Janeway's a great captain. I really liked the story arcs that she went through, as the first main series female captain, and she made some hard choices in that show. When you're put into a desperate situation, just how much do you hold on to the prime directive and versus survival? So I think she I enjoyed that series. All right. Newer TV series. We've got Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, Strange New Worlds, and Starfleet Academy. Delphi, we're going to start with you this time.
I've only seen trailers and commercials for all of these series. But if I was to watch one, I think Lower Decks looks like pretty cleverly written. That would be the one I would watch.
DB.
We're so inclined.
Yeah. I have not watched all of these series. I've seen parts of each of them. I would go with season 3 of Picard.
All right. Bryan.
They got the band back together.
True.
This one was really hard for me. I loved Discovery. I love Strange New Worlds. I'm almost done with Starfleet Academy with what's out so far, and I'm really loving that too. Lower Decks is what got my youngest into Star Trek, but for me, it was Picard. Like all 3 seasons of Picard, I really loved his like the story with Data, the story with Q, and the sort of final culmination. And so Picard kind of has to beat my pick. I think I spent all of season 3 crying like a little baby.
Yeah, they really built it into season 3, didn't they? It was just the whole thing culminated.
Yeah, it's really stupendous television.
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember at the time, and because everything on online as real life, of obviously. And it was funny because this was post the sequels, and it was funny because Star Wars, the segment of Star Wars fans that were like, see, they got the band back together and they couldn't do it for the sequels just for one scene. Which, I get the sentiment. I think the sequels are fine without it, but I get the sentiment. And it was just kind of funny how Trek did what some crying fans of Star Wars did. And for me, I'd have to go Strange New Worlds. I have not finished all the seasons. I loved season 1. I need to renew my Paramount Plus and go back and binge seasons 2 and 3, especially since they just dropped the spoiler alert Muppet episode. And but I really enjoyed season 1 because it kept, for me, it picked up on some of that fun that was in the original trilogy. Or not original trilogy, original series. And plus I'm a big fan of Pike's hair. So
and I would say, Adelphi, if you're going to jump in, Lower Decks is great. Like every time I watch it, I've got whatever beverage I'm drinking, just spraying out of my nose.
Nice.
Like Ractaginos or whatever.
Right on. Okay. OG 70s and 80s movies. That's funny to say. Star Trek the Motion Picture, Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, Star Trek 4, and Star Trek 5. What is that? Final Frontier. DB, we'll start with you. That's right.
I mean, there's only one choice here, Wrath of Khan. But hot take, I love the original motion picture.
It's not a hot take.
A lot of people don't like it. I love it.
It's a hot take.
Bryan.
It's warm.
Well, for one, I like how this list didn't even put Star Trek 5 on the list.
Right.
No, they did. Maybe I just couldn't see it because I just don't like seeing it. For me, it's Wrath of Khan. And although Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and Voyage Home are all like a really perfect trilogy in my view. They're all really great, but Wrath of Khan for me is like the pinnacle of. It's my second favorite Star Trek movie, and it's so literary minded. Like if you read Moby Dick and Tale of Two Cities before you watch Wrath of Khan, if you thought you were emotionally invested in Wrath of Khan, it'll be even worse if you read those before you watch it.
Right on. Delphi.
Because I saw it in the theater with my folks and my sister, I'm going to go with Star Trek 4.
Right on. I remember seeing that on Christmas Day with my folks.
It's the first Star Trek movie I saw in the theater. So,
right on.
Mrs. DB is headed up. Well, go ahead, Bryan.
Oh, I was going to say, I think that might have been the first one I saw in theaters too. I remember I have vague memories of the drive-in.
And I would go with Wrath of Khan, just because that, it was a good era for sequels. You got Empire, you got Wrath of Khan, you got Aliens, and sci-fi was doing okay with sequels at that point. And Wrath of Khan definitely nailed it for me. I still cringe when I think about the earworms to this day, right?
Yeah, as a kid, I didn't like that scene.
It was, okay.
That Chrysler commercial kind of ruined a little bit. The Corinthian leather.
Corinthian leather, yeah.
All right. OG 90s movies. We've got Star Trek 6. We've got Generations, First Contact, Insurrection, and Nemesis. And Bryan, will go back to you and start with you.
For me, my favorite Star Trek movie, bar none, is Star Trek 6. Like, The Undiscovered Country is such a wonderful mystery, like a murder mystery that unfolds, and it's so complicated with everything about Kirk having to just really deal with the racism and bigotry of his versus Klingons for what they did to David, and all of that on top of the collapse of Klingon society just makes it one of the great Star Trek stories ever told.
Delphi.
I think I'm gonna have to pick 6 too. That's the one that has Admiral Chang, I think.
Yeah,
The
General
Klingon
Chang.
who said Shakespeare is best when it heard in its original Klingon. That I really did. That's my favorite too, to be honest. I like that a lot.
I loved how Christopher Plummer was in that as Chang, and then they brought his daughter Amanda Plummer back to be the villain in Picard.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
That's why.
That's awesome. Yeah. Right. Okay, and then DB.
Boy, I'm splitting hairs here, but 6 is so powerful because not only the mystery that Brian's talking about, but the story directly paralleled the fall of the Soviet Union, East versus West, and that was so relevant at the time that it was amazing. But for pure fun, I go with First Contact.
Okay. Yeah, and I think for me, I'm gonna go with I think I'm gonna go with First Contact as well, honestly. Just because it was, I think, the first movie, Generations was that handoff movie, and I think it was the first movie that, the Next Generation crew carried on their own. And the CGI is still pretty good to this point. I like the First Contact story, and just being seeing Next Gen on their own in a full film was always a good memory for me. All right, last one, wild cards. We've got Galaxy Quest. What's his name? The remake of Star Trek, Into Darkness, Beyond. Star Trek Beyond, and Section 31, which I actually have not seen that yet. So Adelphi, we'll start with you.
I'm gonna go with Galaxy Quest. That's got Alan Rickman, Sigourney Weaver.
Yep.
I mean, kind of by the hammer of Rathbar. I mean, come on. That's kind of a no-brainer for me.
Yeah,
right on.
By Grabthar's hammer.
DB.
No contest, Galaxy Quest.
Right on. Brian.
As much as I actually do like the Kelvin universe and the Kelvin timeline, it's going to be Galaxy Quest.
Right on.
No poor reflection on the others, but Galaxy Quest is just an all-timer. And there are screenwriters like David Mamet has written lengthy essays about how perfect the screenplay for Galaxy Quest is. And he's not wrong.
It's darn near flawless.
I would still be interested to see the alternate timeline where Harold Ramis got to finish directing it.
Yeah, no, that would be very cool. I think for me, I'm going to go with, if I got to stick to the list, I'd like to throw in the wild card of the Orville, because I'm a huge fan of the Orville. And I think until Strange New Worlds came out, I felt like the Orville was more Trek than a lot of shows. But for this list, I actually think I'll go with Into Darkness. And I know a lot of people were chomping at the bit when it finally, Benedict Cumberbatch's character finally reveals who he is in that universe. But I'll take, any chance I can take Benedict Cumberbatch as a villain, and a decent villain at that, I'll take it. I thought just as a general all around action film, I thought it was pretty good. And we need him to play a bad guy more often, I think. So.
But was it a Trek movie? That's kind of what a lot of people had said about all of those movies, basically, that like the first one was almost like a Fast and Furious movie more than it was a Trek movie. It was the characters of Trek, but it didn't have the true feel of it.
I think of those three, Beyond had the most Trek feeling, where they actually science their way out of a problem that has a moral dilemma underpinning it. But I think you're right. Like Star Trek and Into Darkness, as entertaining of films as they were, I think Beyond is the one who kind of hits the Star Trek mold the most.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Idris Elba as a villain is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll watch anything with Idris Elba in it.
Well, he's fantastic in everything. I mean,
yeah.
He was great in Pacific Rim. He was great in Hobbs and Shaw.
If you have not seen Luther, his series Luther, that is a great series. Phenomenal series. And I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but he's a British cop in that series. And
Wait, he's British?
right. But no, I if you like British crime police shows, which we're on this whole, Mrs. Brown Leader and I are on this whole binge. We can't get enough of British cop shows right now. But Luther I had watched a few years ago, and can't say enough good things about that series.
So what's next? You're going to tell me Benedict Cumberbatch is British and played Sherlock Holmes?
Right? I just shared that with, there was a meme online talking about the 3 different actors that in recent years that have played Sherlock and have also been in Marvel movies. And I sent that over to Brownie One, and he enjoyed, he agreed with me that as far as of modern day Sherlock Holmes, I definitely like Benedict's. Enjoyed that series, although I think they kind of cheaped out in the last season a little bit. But good overall. Seasons 1 and 2 are really good.
I think Elementary beats it personally, but
I've not seen that one.
Well, it's got 8 seasons, and each season's like 28 episodes. It puts Mandalorian to shame. But anytime it's on, they'll usually, they'll bundle, 4 episodes in a row, and I'm just, Mrs. Adelphi's like, you've seen this one 12 times. I'm like,
That's how I was with my mom in Murder, She Wrote growing up, because it was she was such a Murder, She Wrote fan, and we had to watch it every week. And of course it was on the same time as The Simpsons, and it was right after football. And so when it got into, back then you'd see the season, then it would go into replay for a season until the new season came out. And when we got into that replay season, I was always like, Mom, we've seen this one. Can we watch The Simpsons? And she's like, no, I don't remember watching this one. And so we could never watch The Simpsons because she always had to watch her Murder, She Wrote.
how come no one ever noticed that town of like 3,000 people had like 20,000 murders? I mean,
right?
It's always the new guy in town.
Yeah.
Yep. Always.
Oh, spoiler. Sorry.
All right. Well, that was a good warm up. Thank you, everybody. We're going to flip over. Let's see. We've got some chat rolling in. So, Ubaldo, welcome to the show. The Roderick is on. Welcome, sir. And Ubaldo, awesome. Brian, yes, big fan. We're going to have some good talks tonight. Oh, Scruffy said he's on his way. So hopefully we'll get to see him here soon. And Unboxing, welcome, sir. Yes, we are. I saw your message. I couldn't get back to you. Yes, we're having a show tonight. Also follow Unboxing. He does great Star Wars unboxing videos, and they usually drop just after we go off the air on Thursday nights.
But he doesn't really unbox too much. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, he takes the package out of the Amazon or Walmart box and then shows it off. But he does, yeah. You're picking hairs. Scruffy Rathacon. So he got his Star Trek.
No, obviously his account's been hacked.
Unboxing. Wow, it's been a long time since I've watched those Star Trek movies. And then Scruffy, where's Scruffy? I don't know. We're waiting for him. And then Maya, Cabot Cove was the murder capital of USA. Yes, there we go.
Probably still is.
They just need Cumberbatch to join up in there. And
They're doing a Murder, She Wrote movie, and they've got somebody that's great in there in the role, and I'm like, I'll watch that.
They're doing a movie?
Off the top of my head. Yeah, I think so.
I might actually have, you know what? I might have to take my mom and we might have to go see that. That would be fun. Absolutely. Okay, so we're gonna flip over into kind of the main topic tonight, which is the 3 books that Bryan has dropped since we had him last on. Last time we talked about BattleTech Without Question, and he has been a very busy man. He's dropped a lot of Fox Patrol that we haven't talked about, and then which is still one of my favorite groups. And then let's see, let me find the books here. So he dropped Ghosts of, and how do you say that, Brian?
I mean, I say it Tim Cavici, but
Cavici.
I'm sure there's some better pronunciation. But when everybody asks me that about BattleTech, I say, you know what? humanity's spread out for 1,000 years. The languages have drifted. It's probably like Star Wars. The same difference between Han and Han and Leia and Leia and Alderaan and Alderaan and whatever.
Right.
So pick your pronunciation and you're good.
Right on. Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis. Okay, yeah, right on.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis is the one headlining that Murder, She Wrote movie.
Right on. Oh, Mrs. Adelphi, welcome to the show. So Ghosts of Tim Cafici, which is a Kellhounds adventure. And didn't you write a short story about the start of when the ghost dogs had to break apart from the Kellhounds?
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
A novella that documented that, and then a couple of short stories and a couple of other novellas that sort of got them to the point where they happen and get to this novel, although none of them are mandatory to read. It's just I have been writing about this particular group of splintered Kellhounds for a few years now. No, that's it. It does stand alone. It reads well as a standalone book if you have not read anything else. And then Arc 3 and Arc 4 of the Dominion Civil War. So By Civil Blood Betrayed and of These Violent Ends, which I have not had a chance to get into that one yet. I'm still just finishing up By Civil Blood Betrayed. But what I've enjoyed about a lot of the BattleTech books that you've done, Bryan, is when it goes back to what was the one where the Jade, was that Without Question, where the Jade Falcons they were pretty much decimated and they had to go up against the Ghost Bears. That was Question of Survival, which is the book that precedes Without Question.
Yes. I really enjoyed the fact that you're taking these groups because back in the day, right, all the popular, when the clans first invaded, and this takes place, this is 100 years after the start of the clan invasion. And back in the day when I was playing BattleTech, it was all about the Wolf Clan and and
the Wolves and the Falcons.
Yeah, and the Falcons were kind of pigeonholed as the bad guys to the Wolf Clan, and then you had the whole Inner Sphere that Stackpole created, and the Dragoons and the Kerensky and all of that, and it was cool to come now to kick the story forward 100 years into the invasion and the humanity that you brought to the Jade Falcons. I found really interesting in the fact that this once bad guy group, so to speak, is now, they've gone through hell and back, and they're just the survivors are left scrambling to keep the clan together and to rebuild.
Now, if I could just interject.
Yeah.
If you believe the Stackpole propaganda, the Jade Falcons were the bad guys.
Yes.
If you read the Jade Phoenix trilogy, however, you get a completely different view of them.
True.
Well, I think in the intervening years during the Dark Age, they really leaned into the Jade Falcons as the heel, and they were committing some pretty atrocious acts on behalf of Malvina Hazen, who was their leader. And so in the clan invasion, I think you're absolutely right that they were the heel or the hero, depending on whose point of view you were reading them from. Mm-hmm. But during the Dark Age, they definitely became solely the heels.
Yeah, and then so it was great. And now you've done the same thing with Dominion Civil War in terms of bringing forward a very unique situation with the Ghost Bears and the Rosselhag League, and how those two, how the Ghost Bears pivoted to kind of move away from mainline clan beliefs and integrate with this population, and they took a different view of what it meant to come back and see, because originally Kerensky's, the ideal goal that every clan goes by is that the clans are going to come back and they're going to free the Inner Sphere. And, and you've got the hardline groups that have really taken that propaganda, like Wolf Clan and Jade Falcons and others. And then you've got the Ghost Bears that took a different avenue, which I found really intriguing.
Yeah, no, it was it was interesting. I think when you read the original Clan Invasion, aside from Wolf and Jade Falcon, there isn't a whole lot of difference or variance in the clans, except for the color of their uniform and the animal that's on it, which there's nothing wrong with that. That was exactly what those books needed. But now, after being in the Inner Sphere for 100 years, they're all going to have their own flavors and personalities, and getting to deal with the Ghost Bears in a time of severe strife after they realize they've missed out on, becoming the Ill Clan and taking over Terra, and what the ramifications of that are because of what they've turned their society into, was really fun to do, but it was really fascinating to explore.
Right on. Delphi, I'm going to let you kind of jump in a little bit, because I know we've been able to talk to Bryan before, but I know that as a fellow BattleTecher, I'm sure you've got some questions and some viewpoints.
I mean, yeah, I think the clans were different. I mean, you had the Smoke Jaguars were like mystical, and the Ghost Bears were kind of in the middle, and then the Wolves were the Wardens, and they basically are like, well, if we get in front of everything, then we can kind of lead and then the Jade Falcons were just the bad guys according to Mr. Stackpole.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were really different, but we just didn't spend so much time with them that it was kind of hard to see all those differences. But I think things did obviously at this point, after they've been in the inner sphere for so long, that they're all gonna change and develop differently depending on what planets they're on and everything.
What do you find that you like the most about writing in this IP, Bryan?
I get to tell really interesting human stories with characters I really enjoy working with in a really dense universe and a really dense backdrop with a really great fan base. It's really gratifying to get to play BattleTech with fans and talk about the lore with BattleTech fans, and that's what actually really gratifying. And getting to hear people, when I'm signing books at a table, people coming up and saying, I hate you because now I love the Falcons. Like, because for a lot of people, they bought into Stackpole's propaganda, but they just hated them through the Dark Age, and now they were reluctant to like them, and I was able to accomplish that. So I take a grim satisfaction in that. But no, my favorite really is getting to tell stories with really interesting characters, and I hope people who read my stuff feel like the characters are really the most compelling thing about it. I mean, amongst a whole host of compelling things, but then getting to interact with fans and getting to play the game with them and getting to just talk about the lore. It's really rewarding to do that.
Right on.
Now, when I say propaganda, I'm obviously joking.
I know, but I am still
I've interacted with him a couple of times on Twitter back before he kind of dropped off of Twitter, and he was very gracious, and it was I think it'd be great to see him on Hyperspace Heroes at some point.
I can make an introduction.
That'd be awesome.
So I had a question. What like Robert Charnett had the Wolf Dragoons, Michael Stackpole had the Kellhounds. Are you kind of disappointed that you didn't get to have your own sandbox to play in, that you're kind of having to piggyback off of Stackpole's Kellhounds as opposed to having your own Eridani Lighthorse or someone like that?
So I've really enjoyed getting to play with the toys that were there, but I have been able to create a mercenary unit that is mine called the Fox Patrol, and they have been exceedingly popular in ways I could have never imagined. So it's mind-blowing to go to cons and have Catalyst selling merch with the Fox Patrol on it, or I get people cosplay as the Fox Patrol, and people present me with painted up mechs from the Fox Patrol quite a lot. So it's I'm a little bit humbled and awed by that, like, especially because they started in some short stories of me just kind of telling my own little thing, and I didn't realize they were going to turn into a big thing. And then there's a force pack coming, so you'll be able to get all their mechs, and
Oh, nice.
There's another novel that ties into that should be coming out in 6 or 7 months, hopefully sooner, but to tie in with the force pack. And that's their second novel length adventure after a serial novel and probably just, over half a dozen novellas and shorts. So no, I wasn't disappointed because I did get to kind of make my own. And even when I was playing with the Kellhounds, when I first came on to BattleTech, it was at Mike Stackpole's behest, and he was the one who said we were going to be co-writing a trilogy that never happened about the Kellhounds. And one of the things that's happened in the canon is that the Jade Falcons tried to eliminate the Kellhounds completely because they were a fly in the ointment constantly for them. And they orbitally bombarded them on a couple of different planets to try to wipe them out. And the second time that happened, the leader at that point, Calandra Kell, had sort of told a whole bunch of extant Kellhounds units that weren't there on the planet to go to ground and disappear because it wasn't safe to be a Kellhound. And so Mike's big idea was like, you're going to need to create an identity in BattleTech that's yours alone. So you need to create a unit that is a splinter of the Kellhounds, but they're your own thing. And that's why Ghost of Tim Cavici is about the Ghost Dogs. They were Kellhounds and they got that order to like scram. And so the history of that unit and every member of that unit is mine, even though they're kind of under that cloak of the Kellhounds. And I love working in that storied universe, and I love working with Mike about how they fit in and how they can fit in. And I feel like for a unit that's just sort of appeared seemingly overnight, if all you're reading is the novels, like with Ghosts of Tim Cavici, we've fit them into the history of the Kellhounds really seamlessly.
Yeah, I agree with that. And even how the book ends, the door's open, right? I mean, you've got, and there was a little bit of kind of passing the torch and new generation kind of thing. And you're right. It's a new group that you can play with now, associated and Fox Patrol the same way. I like the fact that Fox Patrol is for all of us that grew up on the pre-Clan Invasion, Stackpole's universe and the Clan Invasion and the books that you've had recently with Fox Patrol and Ghost of Tim Cavici, it really feels like it's a new, fresh beginning for in what could be, because there's so, like you said, the lore is so deep and it could easily go stale, right? I mean, you've got so much history, so much depth, so much, but you've kind of breathed some new life, created some new characters to create whole new adventures in a very long pre-existing universe.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what we hope people feel with the new stuff, like creating a new status quo after the Dark Age, which was sort of the fiction era that WizKids really put out when they put the Clicks game in motion, sort of coming out of that finally and ending the Dark Age and telling players and fans this is the new status quo, and just make sure that there's enough fun for them to read in exciting stories, but also fun places for them to play the game.
And you know what? Actually, I think you were on with Voidbreaker. I take that back.
Oh,
yeah, we had you on for Voidbreaker, and again, you took a clan that was just in the background and not a Jade Falcon or a Clan Wolf, mainline clan, and breathe some life into a clan that no one really knew anything about. Wrote a different kind of book, it was a little more James Bondy, a little more, adventure. And that one of all the books for sure human story,
Yeah.
more than it was a smashing robots, adventure.
Stompy Mac. Stompy.
Stompy mech. Thank you. But yeah, that one for sure was definitely a very human story, and I appreciated it very much.
Yeah, no, Clan Seafox really got established by Randall Bills in a book called Hunters of the Deep, but that was really the only look we'd had at them, like in any major way, aside from being in the background and getting to, flesh them out in a really different way and see them with all their spy nonsense was so fun and gratifying to get to do.
One of the things I enjoyed the most about the book, and spoiler alert, there is a battle in that book that I hadn't read anywhere else, and it was between jump ships and in space, and it was a boarding party battle, and I enjoyed that because it's not something that you normally see in a BattleTech novel, and it was a fun twist.
Yeah, those battles were verboten for the longest time. After I think the second or third Succession War, they couldn't make new ones, and if you lost one, you lost humanity. So it's basically they all agreed not to do those sorts of battles or anything like that. So,
and this was a little bit interesting in kind of bearing that in mind, that it was like, they're definitely not going to shoot at it, but they will certainly come in and attack everyone on the inside. Which is why everyone's using needlers and as opposed to lasers to burn through a hole and things like that. But the fun thing about that book from a structural view was just figuring out how to make it fit into BattleTech, even though it wasn't a traditional sort of BattleTech story. I mean, there's plenty of mech battles in it, but certainly not as many as you'd normally get.
Right, exactly. Scruffy, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Brian. So glad to have you back on the show. And the answers to the question are Wrath of Khan, the Orville, Lower Decks, and yes, the motion picture stands.
Right.
The original. All right, Scruffy's out later.
All right. Yeah. Well, because you joined late, I have to play this. So.
Oh no.
There she is, Miss America.
Seriously?
Well, yeah, it's tradition, right?
All right, fine. It's tradition.
Welcome to the show, Scruff.
Good to be here.
Yeah. So, what else do you have? Well, are you allowed to talk about what else you have in the pipe for the BattleTech universe?
There is some stuff I can talk about. Like I said, there's that Fox Patrol novel that's coming out with the force pack of their mechs. But one of the things I'm most excited for, and I just got to read a huge chunk of it lettered for the first time, but the graphic novel, actually. There's a 4 graphic novel series that is co-written by Mike Stackpole and I. And in the first volume, we have guest stories written by Timothy Zahn and Sam Maggs, who wrote the tie-in for Jedi Survivor. Their stories are terrific, and the comic looks amazing. And I'm hoping we'll see the graphic novel out next year, but we're doing 4 66-page graphic novels with one continuous story around them. And Mike's stuff is terrific. He really, really seemed to enjoy coming back to comics after all of his work in the X-Wing comics. And his stuff was terrific then, and it's only better now. So I'm really excited about that. And then there's some other stuff I can't get into too much, but Mike and I are working on a lot of stuff together. And in the current issues of Shrapnel, the first stories are out, but over the next 3 issues, Mike and I are sort of co-writing a serial novel where the Fox Patrol meets the Death Kangaroos, which the Death Kangaroos are something that it was a little bit of an annoyance of Mike's, where they created the original Kellhounds logo, and then somewhere they lost the original logo and made a new one, and he always thought it looked like a kangaroo instead of a hound. And he finally, for the Mercenaries Kickstarter that they did a few years ago, convinced them to reinstate the original Kellhounds logo. And he and I and some other folks were standing around sort of looking at them at a convention. I think it was Gen Con once, a few years ago. And he's like, I don't know what, like, they're still selling merch with that damn kangaroo on it, and I don't like it. And I was like, so one of us had mentioned, I don't know if it was me or him or whoever, had mentioned, like, oh, it's a different unit. It's the Death Kangaroos. And he goes, that's not a bad idea. And so he went off and he wrote an entire news story about this unit that's the anti-Kellhounds. And it's about this con man who is a mech warrior of very flexible morality. And someone comes to him asking him to do a job and pose as a Kellhound. And he says, that's not a Kellhound uniform. And they're like, well, it's what we've got. And it turned out to be a cheap Capellan Halloween knockoff Kellhound uniform. And so when they introduced him to the client, the Mark, he said that, they were Death Kangaroos, not the Kellhounds. And so he's got 5 or 6 stories with these clowns. And they're the absolute most morally bankrupt sort of con artists you can imagine. And so if you've read the Fox Patrol, you know that's exactly the wrong crowd for Katie Ferraro and the Fox Patrol to fall into.
Yes.
So we've been having a lot of fun with that. And there's 3 more parts of that coming out in Shrapnel over the next 3 quarters. Shrapnel comes out quarterly.
Yeah, right on. And Delphi, if you have not, Shrapnel is a great magazine. And,
I bought the first couple issues. Mike Stackpole had a couple.
Yeah. Brian's had quite a few short stories, and that's where like that one first Kellhound novella appeared. And it's a great magazine. It's got a lot of great short stories for the BattleTech fan out there.
With family and everything like that, and I can't do audiobooks. It's really hard for me, so I'm really behind on my reading.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely, I noted it here. I'll definitely look into those because I can get them off of Amazon and just read it on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard sometimes.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you. Totally hear you.
If I could get into the weeds here for a moment about BattleTech.
I love the weeds.
So when it first came out, way back when there was a Grey Death Legion and all this stuff, it was the future, but you could tell that their prime has been passed.
Yeah.
And then the clans came, and then they had the Star League Corps, and so it was kind of future again, almost like a Star Trek type thing. And I think a lot of fans didn't like that, so that's when they introduced, what was it? The Word of Blake had their Jihad, and then they introduced like internal combustion engine mechs, and they tried to go back to the whole feeling of, glories of past or something like that. So everything was old and rusty and stuff like that. And it seems like they've kind of going past that back to the futuristic. And what's your favorite part of the timeline?
I'm really enjoying what we're calling the Ill Clan era now because it has all of that combined, so I can play in whatever of those sandboxes I want to. And bring in those mechs however I want to, whether it's some of the old clunky ones or some of the newer tech or whatever. And yeah, there's fans that are just like nothing that happens after 3025 counts. And there's fans that are like, I'm cool with all of it up to the clan invasion, but after the clan invasion, I'm out. And there are a ton of fans who came in with the reason the Dark Age happened with the Jihad and the Word of Blake and all that happened was because of the switchover in companies with WizKids. And so there's a whole bunch of people who got introduced to BattleTech with that game. And so that's their era. You know what I mean? And so with the Ill Clan era now, what we've been able to do is kind of take the best of all of that so that all of the fans have something they can latch on to. Mm-hmm. And some of the places are very starved for technology. There's still a lot of rarity to technology. But talking to Jordan Weissman, who created the game, and Mike Stackpole, part of the reason that they injected some of that technology back into the game in the first place was because the entire initial idea for the universe was that it would be this stagnant empires and entropy, and everything would be broken and falling down. And that works really great for a one-off game. But if you need to make new mechs to sell to perpetuate your game and your company, you're going to have to inject something new, which is why they did the Helm Memory Core thing. And, there's other weird business decisions that you'd never guess influence the story as much as they do. But Jordan Weissman told this story to me and a group of folks about why they ended up doing the clan invasion. And that was because he was off working on the battle pods. I don't know if any of you got to play in the battle pods ever. They bring them to Gen Con every year, actually. So if you go to Gen Con, it's great to play them. But in the 80s, they were doing the battle pods, and they sat down and said, listen, we don't have the RAM to make all the different mechs that you want because of all the mechs that they created. But if you could create mechs that were modular and we could swap out chassis and parts and stuff, we could have, we could take the 10 mechs that we're capable of having in this game, and we could actually make that like 70 mechs. And so the whole swappable Omni mech thing for the clans, and the whole reason for the clan invasion and the 20-year jump, was so they could have their Omni mechs and swappable parts and all of those things, so that the video game could work with the technology at the time. And the way the Dark Age worked was Jordan actually left the companies. Like, he left FASA initially to go do FASA Interactive, which was doing the video game, and then all of that sort of exploded. And then he's the one, Jordan founded WizKids, and HeroClix was his idea, and the Clix MechWarrior game was him just saying, like, I really love BattleTech still. I'd like to keep it alive because all this got destroyed. And the way the marketing and from my understanding, the way all of the rollouts of those games worked, the way you got the fiction coming out the way it did was to support the releases of the blind boxes of those Click games. And now we're kind of past all of that, and we don't have to do that sort of stuff anymore. So we can just look to tell the best stories with the best of intentions that we can. And so I like not having to necessarily have the business considerations, other than, can I create something that players are going to have fun, or fans are going to have fun putting on the tabletop if they want to, as opposed to, how do we figure out how to inject 40 mechs into this game so that into the lore so that the game guys can have that, things like that. I don't have to worry about anything like that the way Stackpole and those guys did, Bob Charette and Mike Stackpole and Bill Keith. Like, they all had to worry about that sort of stuff in a way that I don't. Like, I just have to make the most entertaining and impactful books I can, and allow people to imagine what it would be like to play those on the tabletop. If that makes sense. That was a very long-winded answer, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, yeah. You said my question was, which is your favorite, and you said the new one is your favorite. So yeah,
it was a really roundabout way of getting there.
No, but I love the fact that I didn't know that about the clans, and it was in order to facilitate the battle pods. And yeah, I know I saw them at Gen Con this year. I didn't go to Gen Con, but I saw them on social, and I'm just like, and I didn't get to play them as a kid, and I was like, oh, I need to get down there.
I think that's next year's trip.
I think we may have to, because Margaret also keeps going to Gen Con, and I really would like, I had the chance to talk to Margaret, and I would love to Margaret Weiss, and I'd love to go down and interact with her at least just once in real life while she's still doing cons, because I don't know how many more years she's going to do them, but yeah, no, that's yeah, wow. Of course, and it makes sense, right? I get it, but I go back to something you touched on, which was, empires in decline, and that was something. It when I was reading Ghosts of Tim Cavici, I was like, I'm like, a rifleman, a griffin. What the heck? And I was like, and I think even a Warhammer, and I was like, why are they using these old, but then that perfectly clicks. It was like, Not that I mind it. I don't mind reading about a griffin again. It doesn't bother me. But yeah, it definitely fits that universe.
In that book, the Lyran Commonwealth, they're in pretty dire financial straits, and you can kind of see that even though it's not stated explicitly on the page, but by their choice of mechs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What they're fielding has a lot to do with what their economic state is.
Right on. Okay, so I wanted to touch on something. This would be a good segue, unless Adelphi, do you have any more BattleTech questions before I was going to jump over to Shadowrun, actually.
Well, you were talking about the death kangaroos, and so it sounds like you're saying that Capellan Timu is a thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's where the death kangaroos got their uniforms.
Yeah. So I just hope it's called Timu. I hope that
right.
It's a 2,000-year-old company. It just keeps chugging along.
It was probably a Spirit Halloween they got it from too.
Probably
in an abandoned HPG station.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. Oh, that's hilarious. So recently, earlier this year, actually just earlier this month, and I'm going to bring this picture up. You were recognized by the League of Utah Writers, and including the Golden Quill Award, and wanted to kind of touch on that because that's a different universe that you write in that you got recognized for.
Yeah, no, Shadowrun has been a lot of fun. I mean, Shadowrun is one of those games that clicked with me when I was a kid. My first introduction to Shadowrun, I don't remember if it was the role-playing game and the books or the role-playing game on the Super Nintendo. But they both kind of came about at about the same time for me. And I've always loved that universe. And it was actually me asking if I could write Shadowrun for Catalyst that they were like, we're full-on Shadowrun writers. Do you think you can get up to speed on BattleTech? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And so it's always a fight for me to try to get more Shadowrun stuff because now I'm so well known for BattleTech.
Mm-hmm.
But the short novel, long novella story that I won that award for is called Cortex Bomb, and it's just about a rock band that was also Shadowrunners that they're past their prime and they've all gone their separate ways, and one of them finds that one of their bandmates has gone missing on a run, and so she's got to put the band back together to go find her.
Mm.
And rolling through Seattle as a semi-famous former band and a group of Shadowrunners trying to find their missing drummer, and it had to be the drummer because of Spinal Tap. It was really fun. Cortex Bomb is the name of the band that they were. And, I love Shadowrun because it's got all of the cyberpunk elements I'd want out of cyberpunk, but it also has magic and the fantasy sort of races, right? Like I can have elves and orcs and trolls and dwarfs and humans and all kinds of magic on top of all my dystopian cyberpunk. And so it's been so fun to get to work in that universe because I've always loved that mix because it doesn't seem like it's the most natural fit. To take Tolkien races and magic and cram it into William Gibson, but Shadowrun's been plugging for almost 40 years, and it's really cool. I like Shadowrun. It's just a great, rich universe that keeps going on, and I've been doing a lot of work over there. Actually, sometimes not as much in fiction, but in the source books, I've been doing a lot too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. And for DB and Scruff, so like he was describing, I played the RPG. I didn't play the Nintendo video game, but it's like he said, cyberpunk with magic and elves and dwarves and dragons, and a Shadowrun group to Shadowrun means it's the world. It's like America's been broken up into city states, so to speak, and corporations pretty much run everything, and so these are hired.
Tell the difference from now,
right? And these are hired guns that will go in, and obviously corporate espionage is a big thing when corporates run the world, and so these are hired guns that will also like mercenary groups that will go in and use a mix of technology and magic and what was it? Cyber decking? Is that the phrase?
Yeah, decking is what they
decking.
call that. Yeah, decking into the Matrix. They had the Matrix long before the Matrix did.
Yes, they did. So, and it's a very cool universe.
I vaguely remember the video game, not very well, but I do remember it somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth picking up again if you can find it. I just picked up because
they're all on Steam.
They are all on Steam, and they did do Harebrained Schemes, which was another company that worked with Jordan Wiseman because he was like, I'd like to do this. He did that and BattleTech recently, and they're on Steam. But the Shadowrun game is very much a third-person like point and click murder mystery in the world of Shadowrun as an RPG, and I'm astonished at how much the Super Nintendo cartridges for that game go for, and mine went missing, so I decided to replace it a couple years ago because I wanted to play it again to get myself back into Shadowrun. And they were expensive. But I have it now.
Yeah, I was a huge fan when it came out. I bought all the source books. I never really played the game because being my friends and everything, we were more into D20 style and everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't own 87 D6s that you needed. For the
Yes.
game.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The combat was
and Matrix and everything. It was really complicated. And so, but I loved reading all the books, reading the source books. And on Twitter, we had a really fun community of people. One guy played Lawfare the Dragon, and it was just a lot of bantering back and forth, plot hooks and stuff like that. It's a really cool setting, and I definitely recommend looking into it for anyone who hasn't done so yet.
There's a rules light version that's just coming out of Europe. Like they tried to make a rules light version of Shadowrun, but apparently the hardcore Shadowrun fans really liked having 86 D6s to roll.
Yes.
But they called it Shadowrun Anarchy, and it's like a rules light version that's more in line with the D20 stuff. And they just came out with the Anarchy 2.0 because apparently in Europe, Anarchy took off, and that became the more popular version of Shadowrun, and they hadn't updated it. So a French company actually said, we'd like to make 2.0. We'd like to iterate on this, make it better. And it just came out digitally. They did a Kickstarter, and I backed it. I'm waiting for my physical copy of Shadowrun Anarchy because I really like that rules light system much better than the Deep Crunch.
Yeah, the mechanics of the original game were, combat took forever, and decking even longer than that. Decking was a whole, I remember we were playing one time after school, at the school, and a lot of us just ended up going home because they got into the decking part of the adventure, and it was pretty much just the DM and the decker, and we were just like, all right, we're out because there's really not too much to do, and because it did take the mechanics were slow and clunky, and that's probably why we didn't stick with it as much, but love the universe.
Yeah, that game is expensive. $65, $85 for just the cartridge itself.
Yep.
Yeah,
a couple hundred for
wow. I found one in its box at a local store, and the guy was like $400 for it, and I'm like, I don't need it that bad.
Right?
Yeah, and then you got home and cried yourself to sleep because you did need it that bad.
Well, which is why I started scouring eBay and other places until I did find one that was in like the $50 or $60 range.
Right on.
Which is actually what it cost new, but
yeah.
So it's actually cheaper because back then $50, when you could buy a car.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Right. Well, very cool. Yeah, no, I'm happy to see that you're still continuing on in that universe as well. And I have not been. I got to finish all the BattleTech first before I can flip over to Shadowrun. But and then you just dropped a new deck, Topps cards, because listeners that have been on previous episodes with us may know this, but new listeners and viewers may not. But Bryan actually writes a lot of narrative for Topps cards, and I think on this set in particular, you did quite a bit of the narrative.
I did all of the backs. I wrote all of the backs of these cards in this particular set. This is the 19th set I've worked on that's come out for Topps, and so I've written a pretty good chunk of all the movie trading cards that have come out in the last 5 years from Topps, and it's a really interesting and unique and fun challenge, because in order to do it, because Topps is a licensee of Lucasfilm, in order to do it, they have to prove that like they know what the where everything came from, where I'm getting my information, so that when I'm writing cards, I have to actually source everything to the point where it's like, if you got this from a show, you've got to include the time code that you got it from. So I've gotten really good at going, oh, that happened in season 3, episode 6 or whatever, like that sort of thing, just because I've had to do it because you'll do that 200-300 cards per set sometimes and have to do that for every character. And you realize, oh, the information I want about Bo-Katan is mostly in these 2 chapters of Mandalorian season 2 and like these 3 in season 3, or which parts of which movies Baze and Chirrut are in the most, or whatever, and sometimes there's stuff where it's like there's not a whole lot in the movie, where it's like, oh, it's that random droid in the background, so I'll have to go to very specific canon sources and cite page numbers of where I'm getting stuff. Although I'll write the card off the top of my head and then go back and see where I need to source all the information.
So
that's all interesting, but the important thing is, did every member of the Delphi Rangers get a card in this set?
I've written cards for Zeb and Carson Teva, and I think I've written a Trapper Wolf card, maybe. I've written a lot of them. I don't think I've written all of them. I've definitely written cards, not necessarily. There's sort of like 3 different kinds of cards that I write for them. And so like there's cards that are like movie scenes or scenes from the shows. And so I think I've written about Trapper John or Trapper Wolf. Trapper John. Well, I mean, it is a MASH reference, but I mean, like the whole Adelphi base is a MASH reference. But so I've got to write those where it's sort of based on a specific scene. And then sometimes the majority of the cards are a character from a movie, right? So it'll be like, I don't get images of what they're doing. I'm just getting a list, and the list will say Lando Calrissian Empire, or Lando Calrissian Jedi, or Lando Calrissian Rise of Skywalker, or Solo. And so I'll have to write a mini biography of that character from that moment in time. So an R2-D2 card, I've written so many of them because there will be an R2 Phantom Menace card, and an R2 Attack of the Clones card, and an R2 Revenge of the Sith, and so on, for all the movies and all the shows and things like that, where there are so many different ways to slice that particular pie based on what point in time you tell that character's story from. And then the third kind, and that's really what this set was, Star Wars Galaxy, it's one of the first. It's a series that's been going for a long time. When I was a kid, I used to ride my bike to the local game and comic store to buy Star Wars Galaxy cards when the first iteration of them came out in the mid 90s. And all they are is fine art cards where they ask artists to really make cool Star Wars art. And now there's such a deep bench of cool Star Wars art and how they interpret that. So it'll be fine art from Star Wars, comic book covers, Dave Dorman's comic covers from the 90s, or really gorgeous looking cards on really terrific chrome cardstock. And that's when they'll send me the images, and I'll have to, and many of them don't occur in the movies. So I have to figure out ways to approach writing the back copy of the card in a way that gives context to the scene, context to what the image is, and give people a little bit of new information, because that was my favorite thing about the cards when I was a kid, because I used to collect them. was just learning new things on the backs of those cards. And so trying to make sure I can drop some interesting bit of information in the storytelling on the back of every card is something that I really take seriously. Not that I think kids can afford these cards the way I could when I was a kid. Because the
Well, they're not
economy
made for
of the
kids.
Yeah, they're not made for kids anymore. The originals were. The originals were like, this
Right,
is how
of
you
course.
this is how you re-experience the movie because there's no home video. And it was actually really astonishing. I don't know if you're familiar with Art Spiegelman's work, but he did Mouse. He actually designed the original Star Wars Topps cards. Like he was working at Topps, like Garbage Pail Kids was his thing too. And so he did Mouse. I was doing an interview with him once, and I was like, it was at a time when I was doing a lot of stuff for Huffington Post, and he was doing a retrospective on Mouse. And at that time, like for Full of Sith, I was asking a lot of folks, like, can we talk about Star Wars for a few minutes? And he's like, yeah, I got a Star Wars story. And no one had known that he had designed all those original card sets. So that yellow border with the starburst on it and the way the backs work, that was all Art Spiegelman, who is just an incredible comic book artist, had that connection to Star Wars. And so getting to put my words on cards that have that lineage that go all the way back to him is always something that I find really awe-inspiring and humbling. I don't know. It's I get paid to go look at Star Wars all the time, and so I can't beat that.
Right?
Absolutely.
You're jealous.
Tough. Somebody's got to do it, though.
Yeah.
Right on. Right
Yeah,
on.
I do all my content for free, so I mean,
I do my podcast for free. So
Right
that's a lot of it.
Well, let's flip over to that. The great segue. So for those that don't know, Bryan is co-host for Full of Sith, and as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, and he was telling us before we went on air, regular episodes and with all the specials they've done, they're at over 700 episodes that they have posted so far. So
yeah.
First of all, congratulations. And how do you keep it going with that many episodes in?
Right when we started, I was like, we're going to do a weekly Star Wars podcast. We're never going to have enough to talk about. And every week there's more to talk about. But we started in January 2013, and it was, I think October 2012 was when they announced the sale to Disney and that there were going to be new Star Wars movies. And so it took us a couple of months to figure out exactly what the show was going to be and what it was going to look like. So we launched January 2013, just thinking we would keep up through the sequel trilogy and that would probably be it. But there's so much Star Wars, and there's so many people who want to talk about Star Wars. I mean, you all know that we've done 700 some odd episodes. And part of that is me going to a lot of conventions and getting audio from those that we've done, or our newest episode that's up there is an interview I did. I do a lot of interviews with Star Wars folks like you guys do, on stage at conventions and stuff. And the last one was from Indiana Comic-Con from a month or two ago, where I interviewed Manny Jacinto, and we talked about, in addition to The Good Place, which is what most people I think know him for, but Star Wars fans really know him as the Stranger from the Acolyte. We've had everybody on the show from Ray Park and Carrie Fisher and Nick Gillard, and Jeremy Bullock was on a couple of times, and Filoni's been on a ton. I did 2 hours. I couldn't get Rick McCallum off the phone. So some of it's behind the scenes too, especially because I've been really grateful that I've been doing a lot of writing about Star Wars, not just for StarWars.com and Star Wars Insider over the years, but a lot of other websites and magazines and stuff. And so being able to call Rick McCallum or Rob Coleman or, one of my favorite pieces that I did that I think all the audio's on the podcast now, was I did this big 3-part series in Star Wars Insider about how there's more model making and physical effects in Phantom Menace than there was in the entire classic trilogy combined. And so I talked to Steve Golly, who ran the model shop. I talked to Grant Imahara before his death. because he worked in the model
Oh, wow.
shop. I got to talk to Adam Savage, who was working in the model shop at that time. I talked to Don Bees, who was doing the models and all the droid stuff at that time. Like all of it for this big, exhaustive, 3-part piece in Star Wars Insider, and then the podcast community gets to benefit from that and those conversations that I had.
That's very cool. Very cool. Yeah, we had just this summer we got to talk to Nelson Hall, who was worked in the model shop, and then he's an archivist as well.
Yeah, I saw that actually.
Oh, great! Thank you. Yeah, what that was that one fell in our laps. We were like the host group that was supposed to, or the group that was supposed to be there to interview him didn't show, and they're like, "Hey, you guys want to take this interview?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And so 10 minutes of preparation and we launched into it, and it was no, that was a true pleasure to it was nice to talk to somebody that hands-on building in the model shop, because we'd never been able to talk to anybody on that side of things before. And so wonderful guy. We really enjoyed that conversation.
I found too, the person, like, everybody who's worked on Star Wars has been a pleasure to talk to. I mean, like, some of them can get a little salty. Like the couple times I got to interview Dave Prowse on stage, he definitely got a little salty, but Dave Prowse was just a salty guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially toward the end. So, but never had a bad experience with anybody.
We had, this isn't a Star Wars. Well, he missed out in playing on Star Wars, and we talked to him about it. But we actually this summer we got to interview William Patt and from Greatest American Hero, and yeah, he was probably one of our saltiest so far that we've had.
About Star Wars?
No, just in general.
Just in general.
Yeah, just in general, I think he was just kind of a little on the salty side. But the way they structured it, he had just done 45 minutes on the main stage, and then he comes in and they bring him right into the podcast stage room, and then so I think I could have done an hour plus with him, but I think at 45 minutes I was like, you know what, we're gonna get you, we'll get you going,
That's gotta be weird to be like the guy who was the also ran that's in all of the footage we've seen of the audition tapes,
right? Well, he actually had good things to say about that. He's actually that portion of the interview actually wasn't too bad. It was he's got some good one-liners about it, in terms of Kurt Russell's, making Kurt Russell's career for him and that kind of stuff, because he did his audition with Kurt Russell as Han, and so it was and we ran into him a few other times at that con, and he was okay. But yeah, I think part of it was just probably just he seemed a little tired.
There was a little exhaustion going on there.
I think so.
Yeah, a little bit.
But you're right. Everybody that we've talked to, that we've had the joy of talking to, one of my favorites recently has been Nelson Lee, who plays Senator Ziono, and talk about just a wonderful guy. And we ran into him at that convention, the same convention as well. And he just loves it. And he's a collector, and not just of Star Wars. When we interviewed him, and back behind his, where he was recording, there was Voltron, there was, and I can't remember, I'm completely blanking on everything that was in his back wall now, but and you could just see how much pride he had just playing the foil character that he plays. The fact that he's in Star Wars and he just gets to be in Star Wars, and it's like it's for all of us, because we're all similar age, and it's just that it's just us fans getting to play in that universe is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah. No, it really is. And I've been really lucky with all the people I've been able to talk to professionally for Star Wars. Like, it is like 8-year-old Bryan pinches himself constantly.
Without a doubt.
Never more than interviewing Carrie Fisher. But
oh man,
that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
It was just the weirdest, greatest experience all around.
I mean, Carrie Fisher is great, but were you recognized by Katie
Sackhoff?
All right.
Thanks Adelphi for bringing that up.
Thank you, Adelphi, for bringing that up. So we had met her at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, and then just 2 years ago?
No, that was 2019.
No. The
ICC.
ICC 20. Yeah, it was 2020.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
we go to a collectors convention in Nashville every year, and so she was one of the headliners of that 2 summers ago, and she recognized Scruffy. She actually recognized Scruffy from the time we had her picture taken with her back in Chicago, and so
this is memorable, right here.
So
he doesn't let us forget it either.
No, he doesn't let us forget it.
And DB was my witness because fortunately I had somebody there at the moment. Because
I would not have believed it, but I was standing right there.
My favorite bit of recognition isn't like publicly. It was realizing how, like, the story group listens to our podcast. We did this episode about where are the Naberries, because my whole thing is like Luke and Leia have aunts, uncles, cousins. They're out there. Like the Naberries have cousins out there, and we did this whole episode about like what that could mean for Luke and Leia. And I was at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, which might have been like the 7th or the 8th celebration, and we're at a party. I'm at a party and I hear someone whispering over my shoulder, "Hey, the answer to your question about where the Naberries are, no one cares." And I look over and it's Leland Chi. And it's like it's weird, like how it's weird but great how much like Star Wars and Star Wars fandom is so much a family. Like everybody knows everybody, and you know, I'll do press junket sort of interviews. Like we just did one for the 9th Jedi actually, and which took forever because it was all through translators, but that's just the nature of that beast. And you know, it's the same 10 or 20 folks that you see all the time, and you see them at conventions and get to know them. And it's actually, for as big as Star Wars is, it's actually a pretty small ecosystem, and I really like that about it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. So yeah, Scruff, I don't know if you caught that, but their last episode, they have Manny Jacinto on. So Darth Gun Show himself. So I think
we talked about that too, actually, because he had to tell the costume designer that for his Chimera costume, she couldn't, like, originally it had no sleeves, and he's like, we can't do that. And she's like, what do you mean? And he had to show her his arms, and he's like, we can't, it's going to give everything away. And so she had to redesign the costume around the gun show.
That's hilarious.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh man, he has been one of my favorite villains in recent years, and we need more. I'll even take a book at this point. You know, just we need more Darth Gun Show for sure. What a great character.
Absolutely.
Right.
He needs his own comic book series.
Something, right? Get that man some more work.
I'm still holding out hope Filoni's going to figure out a way to put it back on screen, whether that's a cartoon. It's, you know, you hear a lot about them, like, well, they're going to pivot to animation for a while. Like, I'd take his voice just as well as anything, right? Like, that would be cool to have Leslie Headland be the writing showrunner for a show like that. That would be rad. I would take that just as readily as a season 2 of The Acolyte. I just want more Darth Plagueis and, Darth Gun Show.
Right.
I would love more Darth Plagueis for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure Leslie's going to be a showrunner anytime soon, to be honest. For better or worse, I just think that there's just a little too much baggage with that. But I would definitely like to see more of that storyline as well. The Stranger was definitely...
Yeah, there's possibilities they could take those characters forward in another form. So
yeah. Oh yeah, I hopefully they don't let it die. I mean, there's a lot of potential there, and more Plagueis. We need more Plagueis for sure. Okay. One last thing before we flip into collection corner. So Brian, you had kind of teased us a little bit, and it was before Adelphi jumped on, but you've got a project that not a Star Wars, not a BattleTech, not a Shadowrun, but you've got a project you're working on with some other well-known authors.
Yeah, Jason Fry, who wrote the Last Jedi novelization and a whole boatload of Star Wars books, he and I are co-writing a fantasy trilogy that's coming out next year. It's, I think sort of tentatively we're calling it sort of the Blood Crown saga. And there's a tease of it. There's a 12,000 word novella, long short story, short novella, novelette sort of length piece set in the universe with the characters that's available for free on Mike Stackpole's Chain Story project. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Mike's Chain Story project, but Mike, as much as he loves Star Wars and as much as he loves BattleTech, I think Mike's true love is like 1910 to 1930s pulp, which is why his Conan the Barbarian book was so much better than the movie it was adapting. Which actually, I got a story about that. But no, so he created this thing called the Chain Story, which is bringing in really cool fantasy authors into a bit of a shared universe where everyone has sort of a piece or a prop of a certain thing, and they're all writing their stories. I've written 6 of them, counting this one with Jason Fry, but you can find the one with Jason Fry and I on Mike's Chain Story project. It's called chainstorycore.com is the website. And Mike writes a bunch for it too. I think Mike and I are the two that have written the most for it. But there's a new free story every couple of weeks. And Jason and I, ours came out in late May, early June, I think. And it's it's a taste of that universe. You're going to get, a pretty substantial fantasy trilogy next year from both of us.
Nice.
Awesome.
And all 3 of them are coming out next year. So you'll have the whole series.
Right on. So not
cool.
having to wait 2 years between books.
No, it's going to be 2 months between books.
Right on. So this was, I don't know if that'll show up very well. This was a t-shirt I saw online the other day that I thought was absolutely hilarious. And it's the Sound of Lamentation.
Yeah, no, I did see that.
That's so Scruffy knows how much I like the Sound of Music. So
oh yes. We won't go
right
there,
on.
though.
Right on. All right.
General Chang in it. That's all you need.
Yeah, right. Okay, so before we flip into collection corner, no, I'll save that for after collection corner. So let's pivot over into collection corner right now, and let me get the music going for that. Where is it?
I want it all. Keep your time to approximate. I want it all. And I want it great now. I want it all. Yeah. Brown Squadron.
Right on collection corner.
Yeah.
And there's the picture that she remembered Scruffy from.
How could you not?
That right? That was such a great time. All right, collection corner. So collection corner is a segment where we just kind of go around table, anything that we want to show off, anything we've gained lately. Scruffy, you're gonna have to keep it under control because you haven't been on the show for a while.
It's been so long since I've been on the show that I don't know what I've showed everybody and what I haven't. And
I think it's safe to assume you haven't shown anything.
Hey, wait! Did you get any comic books?
Oh yes, we got to start with that.
Okay, yeah, I have a lot of comic books. I don't even remember where I left off at, where I started from. Did I even show anything from ICCC?
No, I don't think you have. I think it's just, you've been so.
So here's my favorite thing from ICCC.
There we go. Here, let me. Yes. Yes.
Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And even better
Are all
yet,
the rules of acquisition in there?
Boldly go.
Scruffy. Boldly go.
Scruffy. Boldly go. Yes.
Yep.
Actually, I don't know. I haven't read it yet. Like Adelphi there, I have. I'm surrounded by so many books, so many comic books that I just have not had time to read. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to retirement in about 10 years where I can actually sit down and actually read all this.
Mm-hmm.
So, really, I'm completely unprepared for this because, like I said, I wasn't. I thought I would be home about a half hour before the show started, and not 45 minutes after the show started.
Excuses.
But, hey,
you can always talk about Katie Sackhoff.
Yep.
Oh no, I have one thing I need to talk about.
All right.
Spaceballs, the cozy.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Courtesy of Vincent.
Courtesy of Vincent. Thank you so much, sir. Absolutely love that thing. Yeah, it's got to be one of my favorite pieces right now. But I mean, really, I'm just completely buried in stuff right now. That's why the camera sits where it does, because if it showed anything lower, you would be impressed at what a mess this room is.
All the boxes and wrapping materials. And
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly where we're at.
yeah, right on.
So yeah, I'm moving along. DB.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll start off also with Spaceballs the koozie. I do not have it on a drink right now. These are things that I've been collecting on my desk for months, different people dropping them off. And again, yeah, this came from Vincent over at Carbonites. There you go. My direct supervisor left this on my desk the other day.
Oh, very cool.
And
cool.
Darth Quacker.
Darth Quackers.
That's awesome.
And this is going to go back to May, but another coworker of ours, he and his sons picked up the Mando cup at the film.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to have misplaced the top, but I do have the Grogu topper for it. So, and these things just randomly show up on my desk at work. So, I mean, who am I to complain?
Right on.
And those, yeah, I think those are the only three things that I'm halfway prepared to show off tonight. Other than I did tease a couple weeks ago, I got some new shelving units and I'm reorganizing and yada yada. More high def pictures to follow. Who's next on the list?
Adelphi.
Adelphi.
So I figured in honor of the show, I didn't just pick these up, but so I got these awesome.
Nice.
Nice.
Very cool.
Speaking of Warhammers and Riflemen.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
I guess they're Tomahawks and Raiders or whatever, but I still have my old
Federated Sons.
Federated Sons patch from
Nice.
way back when.
Where's the Death Kangaroos?
So I had a really good friend of mine. Her name is Holly. She went to Rebel Scumcom, and she picked up some artwork for me.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
cool.
Teva.
Oh, that's cool.
Sweet.
And he also he made a sticker.
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
That's
So,
cool.
so I went a little. Good thing I had a couple dollars on my PayPal account because I was able to send it to her. Now let me.
Nice.
Mrs. Adelphi wants me to show something. If you'll indulge
Okay.
me for a moment.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Ready? Here I come.
We got.
Move. You have to get out of the way.
Oh my God!
Oh,
Wow.
It just showed
Nice.
up today.
Ready?
The,
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't it awesome?
That is awesome.
epic.
All right, you win this week.
scale.
I want one.
That's awesome. Super
I
jealous.
had to get it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for my 50th birthday, she got the original 1-to-1 scale mouse droid. We were down at Disney,
So cool.
and we picked it up because it was for May the 4th, be with you. And then this was just released at D23. And so, again, thank you, PayPal, paying for.
Yeah.
Because,
I had to get it.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
And I had to
epic.
dress up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she dressed the part.
Dress the part right on. Right
yeah, I
on.
couldn't wear that today because I had to wear my.
Oh yeah.
Battlestar.
Robotech, yeah.
Robotech, yeah. That's a whole nother IP we could talk about for hours.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and I've got some more work in Robotech coming up too. So
Oh, nice.
when that comes out, we can talk about it. Probably next year.
Yeah, yeah, right on. Absolutely.
I mean, we could do a whole segment on Roy Fokker and Claudia Gray being really, really forward in their interracial relationship back in the 1980s. Before that was still illegal in some parts of the country, I think. So.
Well, and it was even, I think, taboo back in Japan back then as well.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So it was, which is where that animation comes from. So, yeah.
I'd like to see
right
a
on.
prequel with Roy. I mean, Rick Hunter was kind of, here's his collection corner, so we won't get into that.
There is on Disney Plus or on Hulu, I believe they have the Roy Fokker prequel cartoon. because now, because Big Finish and Harmony Gold solved all their issues, all of the Macross stuff is now on streaming on Hulu. So everything that we haven't been able to see legally for years is all on Hulu now. But I know that there was also Tommy Yoon did a comic that was a little bit of prequel of Roy Fokker. And one of my favorite things I wrote for the role-playing game was actually Roy Fokker's diary, his journal entries from the last days of the Civil War up until the SDF-1 hitting Macross Island. And it was because I'm just really fascinated by the idea that, like, he started as a pacifist in Pop's Flying Circus and then ends up as an enemy ace with over 100, or a flying ace with over 100 confirmed kills. And, like, I figured that's going to have an impact on somebody. So his therapy journal is in the role-playing game, and I got to write that, and that was another one of those, like, pinch me moments.
That's awesome.
Oh, very cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just saw I think it was a TikTok or an Instagram reel, and I don't know if this is true or not, but they were making a link between the movie The Final Countdown, because that was really the first where you saw the original Jolly Roger flight team or flight crew from, that used that paint scheme. It made that famous. The Final Countdown did, and then that was such an influence on those animators that did Macross that they took that, and that's why they incorporated it with Roy Fokker's design in that. And Final Countdown, very underrated film in my opinion. That was a great film back in the day.
The first DB's blockbuster.
Do not sing that song, DB.
Right on.
I know you're thinking about it. It's on the.
I was.
Do it. Belt it out.
Right on. All right. Oh, Bryan. Okay, we're gonna rotate over to you if you got anything.
Yeah, I do. I've got one. I was looking for it. It's been on my desk for weeks, and then I just moved it into the other room. But I'll talk about it. But I found for a song an advanced reader's copy of X-Wing Rogue Squadron.
Oh.
And I bought it because I figured if Mike didn't have one, I'd want him to have it. And he's like, no, I think I got a box of a couple of these sitting around. I'll just sign this one for you. And talking to him, it seems like there was less than 100 of them made. And I can't even find them on eBay or anything. I found them in a random, I get into a lot of trouble there's some Facebook groups where they just do auctions for old RPG books. And someone tossed this up there, and I don't think anyone else knew what the hell it was, or why it was cool. And I picked it up for $10,
Nice.
Wow.
which makes me feel like I stole from someone.
Right.
But no, that was really cool. But the other one, the one I have here at my desk, I collect a lot of vinyl and laser discs of Star Wars, and the season 3 soundtrack of The Mandalorian only came out in Japan. For whatever, so I had to import it, and so it's got a really cool yellow disc, and I was listening to it yesterday. It's really great. I don't know. I just like the Star Wars soundtracks on vinyl.
That's very cool.
Adelphi Jukebox is the best song. Just saying.
Adelphi
No, it's not on. It's not on here.
Right on. That's very cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Love the artwork on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. I don't have much for this week. So we've been showing a lot of our stuff with Scruffy not on air. But I did pick up this, or I didn't pick this up. This was a gift from one of my kids. Oh, that's the wrong. We want to see more DB. There we go. My kids were down in Detroit, and I think they went to some street fairs or something and found this in a booth and thought of me right away and picked this up. But some very cool, can't go wrong with some boba art, in my opinion. So definitely got to get that in a frame and get that up on the wall here. So thank you guys for that. And in fact, he was watching earlier in the show tonight, so I don't know if he's still watching or not, but thank you, sir. But yeah, that's all I've got for Collection Corners. So we'll flip out of this segment.
I want it all. I want it all. and I want it mint now.
All right. So Bryan, you've got some. I think you've got some appearances coming up, right? You're heading back on the road here pretty soon.
Yeah, so I'm going to be at Dragon Con. Mike Stackpole teaches sort of a weekend writing boot camp there, and he has me teach.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my first novel, which
Yeah.
is set at a fictional Dragon Con.
Exactly. That's why I showed it. That's why I love
that book.
That
book was awesome.
Oh, thank you. But I'll be at Dragon Con, and we're doing a store signing before Dragon Con. So if you're not making it to Dragon Con, myself and Mike and the line developer of BattleTech are going to be doing a book signing at a bookstore the Wednesday or the Thursday before Dragon Con. I guess Dragon Con technically starts on Thursday. But the name of the store is Offbeat Books, and it's just two MARTA stops away from the convention. And it'll be Thursday night on top of just being there all weekend. And I am hosting the Authors of Star Wars panel, as I do there every year, and all kinds of Star Wars panels. And Catalyst will be there with a booth, actually. So Mike and I will be doing signings there for BattleTech and whatever. And then after that, I feel like there's other stuff. I think I've decided I'm going to try to go to New York Comic Con this year. So we'll see how that goes.
Right on.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Very cool. Very cool.
I'm just coming off of, I've done 3 cons in the last 6 weeks and 10 store appearances in between all of those. So I'm just kind of enjoying being home for the next couple weeks.
Oh, I imagine so.
Right on. I believe that. Oh, Chris, how are you, sir? Welcome to the show. A new content creator himself. He goes under a different name on his TikToks. It's let's share with everybody your handle on social so they can give you a follow.
Swankmatron, SWANKMOTRON. That's my website too, is swankmatron.com. So Instagram, Blue Sky, which is kind of where, if you still want to have the Twitter experience with Stackpole and folks like that, Blue Sky is where everybody sort of moved. All of publishing seemed to have moved there.
Okay.
And Stackpole's there, and that's sometimes, like, even though I have his phone number, sometimes it's easier for me to get a hold of him on Blue Sky.
Nice.
than it is elsewhere.
Nice.
But Instagram and Blue Sky and my website and Facebook and stuff. So Swankmatron will get you me, or if you just look up Bryan Young and Star Wars or BattleTech, you'll find me pretty easy.
Yeah. And the reason I say that is because if you give him a follow on socials, for every once in a while, he pops into live games and plays BattleTech he's done sessions before. So, give him a follow if you're a BattleTech player, and who knows, he might be in the area and jumping on a game, and you can too. So definitely a fun experience. So so Bryan, thanks for coming back again, and we'll have to, when you guys have that fantasy series and some of the other stuff, definitely have to get you back on. And
there's definitely some stuff next year we'll want to talk about.
For sure. Right on. All right, we've got to do the last segment, and then we will get out of here. At Delphi, while I'm queuing things up, where can people find you?
I'm on mainly on Instagram for pictures, and X, Twitter as Delphi Rangers. I also have a tiny, very tiny little YouTube account where I try to open up spaceships and kind of do a one-take unboxing type thing. My most recent video, my phone fell over and I just kept on going. And if you want a little different, if you look up the Troll Enchilada on Twitter, that's my Shadowrun handle, where I don't do it as much as I did before because the Delphi has taken over my life apparently, but a lot of plot hooks and just neat story ideas with kind of a cyberpunk version of a troll who runs a taco truck, and he works with kind of the futuristic corporate version of the Girl Scout cookies. So it's kind of a fun little side project.
Oh, all right.
Some deep lore there. For sure. All right, we're gonna get to queue up the final segment, and we'll get going here. And Scruffy, if you can take that down when it's time, or if you're ready to. Ready? All right.
I'm ready to go.
Dad joke of the week. Time to annoy Scruffy and DB. Dad joke of the week. All right, Star Wars dad joke of the week, courtesy of Kelly Knox's Star Wars dad jokes. So we've got to get through this book, folks, so that Scruffy can pick up on volume 2 and continue where we leave off. So, all right, Star Wars dad joke of the week. Why do droids have insomnia?
I don't know. Why do droids have insomnia?
They're too wired to fall asleep.
I've got one I pitched to Kelly.
Dad joke of the week. Now don't you feel absolutely complete?
All right. Yeah, you were saying, Bryan. Sorry.
Oh, I've got one I pitched to Kelly, but she thought it was too esoteric. Like, it was just too deep into it. It was like, why does Darth Plagueis never get sick?
Why doesn't he?
Because he's immune.
There we go.
That needs to be a clip. That should have been in this one.
Right? Esoteric. Whatever.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, Bryan, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Delphi, thanks for joining us again tonight. And also follow Full of Sith if you want to hear that Manny Jacinto interview. And Scruffy, it's been a long time, buddy.
I know.
You're welcome back anytime, So.
Well, I wasn't sure, but I after all the social media posting, I could not show up.
Right. All right, gang. That's the show for tonight. We appreciate it. You can follow Brown Squadron on all the socials, including Blue Sky. We're not as active there, but I need to step it up. But you can also get a hold of us at brownsquadron@gmail.com. Give us a follow, a subscribe, a like. Also do the same thing with Delphi Rangers and their YouTube channel, Bryan's Full of Sith podcast. Give them a follow, give them a listen. And with that, hey, you are watching. See, I showed it. That's the gentleman responsible for the art tonight. So, thanks for watching, everybody. We have got some guests lining up in future weeks as well. So we'll announce those pretty soon. And including in 2 weeks, is it next week? We're going to have, it's a very cool organization. Mrs. Adelphi, have a good night. There's a restaurant southeast of Lansing that employs disabled young adults, and it's called Torch 180. And we're going to have them on because in September, they are hosting a at night glow in the dark Star Wars themed 5K to raise funds. So we're going to have some folks from that organization on the show. That's going to be fun to talk to them and see what their organization is all about. And then, and then we've got some other guests we're lining up, and we'll announce those soon. So, with that, this is Brown Leader signing off for the crew, and you have been listening and watching Hyperspace Heroes. That's no moon.
Oh, yes, the joyous sprinkles.